Well, hey guys, welcome to the shop. Oh, I bet you're here for the latest killer game, right? No? Ah, okay. You must be here then for a classic game, right? No? Well, help me out here. You can't be here for a bad game, right? Oh, you are? Oh, want to punish yourself, do you? Right, okay. Well, you're in luck because hello fellow gamers, and here are 5 of the worst games in my collection. So, bad games. We've all got them, haven't we? At least a few. I know I've got a few in my collection. So I'm going to talk about 5 of the worst games that I've got in my collection based on their ratings on Metacritic. And the first one up on the list is Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival on the Wii U. Now, I hear a lot of hate for this game. Now, to be honest, I hadn't even tried it until I was starting to go through this list. It was still sealed in its box. So at the core of it, it's just a board game. In fact, it's probably easier and tidier than a real board game because there's less risk of anyone flipping the table in anger. So the idea here is you scan in an amiibo for each player and you each take turns throwing the dice in order to move around the board, where you can gain or lose happy points and bells. The person who collects the most happy points at the end wins. When you're playing around, you play through a virtual month, and once each person has taken their turn, a day passes on that calendar. And on each passing day, something different is going to change on the board, and these changes are introduced by familiar Animal Crossing characters, and this gives different opportunities for bonus or extra happy points along the way. But in the end, winning is all down to luck rather than any talent whatsoever. Now, if I didn't know anything about Animal Crossing at all, I'd have been completely lost with this. I only understood the references because I've been playing Pocket Camp and New Horizons. So after having gone through a round or two, by myself, cause social distancing, I think it's probably not a bad game, but it caters to a very niche market. I mean, we're talking about it catering for Animal Crossing fans, which there are plenty of. Those who own a Wii U, there's going to be a few less of those, and those who own Amiibo, and that dwindles it down even further. Anyone outside of that is going to be pretty confused about what's going on, and they're not going to really rate it that high. But, if you fall under all of these categories, and you've got 3 more friends who also fall under these categories, you probably could pair it up with a bottle of wine or 2, and it could make for a fun drunken night in. Now, next up is the Sega Classics Collection on the PlayStation 2. Now, I'm going to say straight away, this has probably one of the best re-releases of Virtua Racing outside of the HD remakes on current consoles. However, all the other games, well, they're the ones that bring the score down. So why is that? Well, I'll be honest, all of the other games, they have been remade quite nicely in 3D for the time, and we were talking around about 2003, 2004 here. But the problem is, they play really slowly compared to their 2D counterparts. I'll just give you a few examples. The remake of Golden Axe on this disc has some control issues. They are pretty unresponsive. You can't get the hits in as quickly as you can with the original. Space Harrier on this runs a lot slower as well. The original had you running and flying at really high speeds and firing was reliable. In this one, it's slow, and the firing rate of the gun it's completely erratic. So you don't even know if you're even going to hit the target you're aiming for. Outrun is a lot slower too. Now, even though I'm supposed to be hitting close to about 200 kilometers an hour, it really feels more like a walk in the park, rather than speeding along the roads of Miami or something. And then there's columns. The gems are shinier, that's about it. It's the same game otherwise. Now I suppose it's not so bad these days when you can pick this up second hand for about a £5. Many of the reviews for this game will have been from their original release from over 15 years ago, where the price was likely in the region of around £30 or £40 instead. So with that in mind, and let's not forget the absolutely fantastic remake of Virtual Racing on this, it's going to be worth picking it up just for Virtual Racing alone. Now, when anyone talks about bad video games, this is one that's going to spring to many people's minds. It's Sonic the Hedgehog 06, this time on the PlayStation 3. When I was reading up details about this game, I found that apparently this was Sega's attempt at celebrating the 15th anniversary of Sonic. I don't know how true that is. If it is, they kinda missed the mark. Now, 3D Sonic games haven't really had great success, since the era of Sonic Adventure. Each game has its own issues, but this one seems to suffer from pretty much all of them. Now, first off, there are the controls. They are incredibly twitchy, and a lot of the time there just isn't the room to go fast. The second of all are the glitches. I only went through the first couple of levels for this, but I encountered my fair share of glitches. Did this game even go through any QA testing? I'm seriously doubting it. And last of all, it's the speed of the game. As far as I can tell, it's tied with the frame rate, so if a lot of things, too many assets get loaded in, it goes incredibly slow, and this happens a lot. See this clip? This wasn't slowed down for dramatic effect, this is really how slow it can go. Now, I'm not going to argue if the controls and the speed and the glitches were fixed. Story aside, because that raises its own questions, it might have been a decent game. So hey, I've got an idea. Sega, if you're listening, why don't you take this, fix all of the problems, and then re-release it? It might not be half bad. Now here's one that's going to confuse some Americans. Nope, you're not seeing things. What you call Space Raiders on the GameCube was called Space Invaders Invasion Day over here, and it was released on the PlayStation 2 instead. Now with Metacritic being predominantly an American site, there's no entry for Space Invaders Invasion Day on it, just for Space Raiders, so that's the score that I've gone off. I mean, they are exactly the same game anyway. So, Space Invaders Invasion Day, it's a one-directional shoot-'em-up with the classic Space Invaders name slapped on it. The story is the same as always. Aliens invade America, cause everything happens over there apparently. And you choose one of 3 characters to shoot them all dead. Now, I've got to admit, this game's got a couple of things going for it. The designs of the aliens aren't too bad, the graphics aren't wholly terrible for the time, and it does run really smoothly. But that's where the pros end, because it's incredibly repetitive. It simply didn't grip me at all, and I just got bored really quickly. There's a survival mode, which is more or less arcade mode, but you can play 2-player co-op on it. But the main one is the story mode, but I feel that's just been put in there as an excuse to put you in different environments and have different aliens to shoot. Now, if you were really wanting to pick this up, thankfully it is dirt cheap. You can pick it up for less than £1 these days. But would you want to? I mean, Taito themselves probably thought that interest was going to wane, so hey, why not throw in a hot blonde chick for good measure? That'll ramp up the sales, right? Right? Now, I'm going to stop this list at 5 games, because I don't want to make anyone more depressed than, we all already are. It is the worst game, according to Metacritic, in my collection, It's Truth or Lies on the PS3. Now, why on earth have I got this? Well, I remember I bought it for a laugh years ago when it was a £5 brand new. And well, there's a reason why. It's severely limited. For those of you who haven't heard about it, how does it work? Well, you get a friend, or 3, together, hook up a microphone to the PS3, and you just answer some questions. If the game thinks that you're telling the truth, you get points. But if it thinks you're lying, you lose points. And it's the whole simple whoever has the most points after a few rounds wins sort of shenanigans. Now this, on its own, wouldn't be a bad concept for a game, if only the truth or lies detection was, accurate at all, even if it is possible for it to be good over a microphone. Now, case in point, to get some footage for this game, I had to make a fake second player. So I roped my cat in. Now it's true, yeah, I could ask him a question and he will respond, but you need the answer to be more than about half a second, so for his turns, I answered on his behalf. And just to get a good gauge on it, I just simply answered all of the questions truthfully, and I answered all of Zach's questions, truthfully, quote unquote, with my worst cat impressions ever.
Meow, 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 meow.
And on the first game, I lost! I lost to my cat! So, to summarise, don't even bother. So there you are, those were 5 of the worst games in my collection. I've got a few others, but thankfully most of the games in my collection are at least half decent anyway. But what about you? Have you been subjected to these games before? Are they even in your own collection? Let us know down below in the comments. And as always, please leave a like or dislike down below, depending on how you felt the video, or better yet, consider that subscribe button if you want to hear more from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.